In Chapter 1, we left off with the establishment of the Methodist Episcopal Church in America. While churches further north were being built, McKnight's Meeting House in what is now Clemmons became very popular in our area and had branched off into outdoor camp meetings to accommodate larger crowds. So popular, in fact, that it caught the attention of the newly formed Methodist Episcopal Church, led by Francis Asbury and Thomas Coke. After becoming bishops in this new denomination, they held the area's annual conferences here for 3 years in a row. Preachers came from as far away as the Allegheny Mountains. In his journal, Francis Asbury wrote,
"We opened our conference and were blessed with peace and union. Our brethren from the West met us, and we had weighty matters for consideration before us."
One of those weighty matters Asbury referred to was the launch of the Arminian magazine in America. The publication had been compiled by John Wesley in England, but Asbury and Coke launched the American version on April 10th, 1789. The preface to the first edition of the newly created periodical was signed by both Asbury and Coke at McKnight's Meeting House just west of us, making McKnight's the first Methodist publishing house in America. The Arminian movement was a reaction to Calvinist doctrine of predestination. It held that God's sovereignty and human free will are compatible. Methodists continued to meet at McKnight's for close to 30 years. As you will remember from Chapter 1, there is nothing left of McKnight's Meeting House to serve as a reminder of our earliest roots, only a sign and a large tract of land that was slowly sold off to various interests. In 1790, Francis Asbury held his last annual conference at McKnight's. By the end of Asbury's ministry, the Methodist Episcopal Church had grown from 1,200 to 214,000 members, and he had ordained more than 700 preachers. One such preacher was a man from our congregation named James Douthat. James was the son of John Douthat, Jr. James had become part of the Methodist Society, and in 1792 he was admitted into the Charleston Conference. He returned to our area as a circuit rider for the newly formed Methodist Episcopal Church. While much attention is given to the Peter Clemmons family and their role in establishing Clemmons, the Douthat family actually arrived earlier and did much to develop the area. The Douthats arrived 3 years before the Moravians, in the same year that Squire Boone Sr. and his wife Sarah arrived. The Boones were Daniel Boone's parents, and they lived and died down the road in Moxville. They're buried in the Joppa Cemetery there. In 1761, John Douthat Sr. purchased 640 acres of land between the Yadkin River on the west and Muddy Creek on the east. The first Douthat land was just southeast of where Clemmons United Methodist Church now stands. Circuit rider James Douthat was surely helped by the fact Peter Clemmons arrived and built a low-water toll bridge across the Yadkin River. Peter needed a way to cross the Yadkin to build his home in 1805. One of the earliest homes built in the area, his home still stands, and it adjoins our current property. His, Clemmons' home, became a stagecoach stop on the wagon road. Peter Clemmons, his home, and his property will cross paths with our history again in the future. Several of the early Methodist Episcopal families banded together and around 1808 decided to build our second church home near McKnight's Meeting House. The selected site was the highest location on his lot. and was a place where William Johnson was buried. The Ellis, Douthit, and McKnight families banded together to hire a man named Henry Eccles to build Mount Pleasant Methodist Episcopal Church. Dedicated in 1809, Mount Pleasant would become our second home. Builder Henry Eccles carved his initials into a log inside the sanctuary that can still be seen today. Mount Pleasant was the perfect spot by the river for a house of worship. You know this place well. It's the chapel at Tanglewood Park. The lumber used was local and was sawed at the mill of another early settler named Philip Hames. The Hames, or Haynes House, is down the road on Middlebrook, less than a mile from our current location. Philip's daughter Mary would grow up and marry into Clemmons' family. Her son Edwin will figure prominently in our history in a few years. Mount Pleasant became the center of Methodism in the area. Henry Eccles, the builder of Mount Pleasant Church, died in 1863 and was buried in the Old Clemmons Cemetery. As fate would have it, that cemetery would be purchased along with the Hunter House in 1990 and is now located on our property just a few feet from where the columbarium now stands.